Let me really start by thanking colleagues, thanking the Resilience Hub and colleagues who work together. My name is Joseph Eliapsan Maniragena from the SDI, Slum Dwellers International, at the Secretariat. We are based in South Africa, Cape Town. And welcome to second day of the Resilience Hub Virtual Summit. This is our second and the last day of the hub, and this is a part of in preparation for the upcoming COP29. And we thought that it's going to be good to have this kind of conversation instead of waiting always maybe the kind of discussion on climate change when we are on COP. But this is kind of preparation to the upcoming COP29 as well as COP30. This session is going to be a very interesting one. It's a kind of a workshop, but also where SDI affiliate will be able to share some of the work being done when it comes to engaging local authorities, engaging other stakeholders and partners, such as the private sector, in climate change or climate action. But also, I would want to start just a little by sharing with you what is SDI about. And then we introduce the panel discussion. And then I guess if time allows, we will end up with a question and answer. And thank you so much for joining. So Slum Dwellers International, it's a global movement which brings together slum dwellers from a national affiliate in over 22 countries. We are in Africa, Asia, and also in Latin America. And we bring together almost 1 million of slum dwellers who reside in the different cities or urban settings. And some of our slogan is women transforming the slum of our cities, of course, supported by youth and men. So some of the work we do, and our colleagues will share a little more and very practical. We do the mobilizing and organizing through women-centered saving groups, and we have a federation members who are in a different cities, and we try to really bring their economic resilience by saving their saving groups. The little they have, they put together so that they can build some resilience. And we also build women livelihoods and leadership. And as I just explained, most of our federation are led by women, and we want to really, we are not apologetic because women has been suppressed for long. So we need to really do something if we want to bring about a gender equality. We also do community-led slum profiling, mapping, and enumeration. And that is really kind of a flagship for SDI, where our members, they do themselves the data collection, and then they use that to do evidence advocacy. So those are some of the activities, but we do also peer-to-peer learning. We do story sharing through our KYC TV, and I will really ask if you haven't heard about KYC TV, you should really join, because that's where we share most of our challenges, but also our success and solution. And the other work we do, it's more about the climate adaptation, where we try to really bring a community-led that improves sustainability living condition, but also climate change is no longer a talk of those who are maybe in other settings. It is affecting us. It's really here, so we need to do something. And we promote the locally led adaptation, because the research has found that, and the number of research actually has found that there is a big finance in climate change, but they don't really come down. they stay somewhere, which maybe may come in another conversation. But our advocacy is that they need to come at the local, because that's where issues happen. That's where solution also should start. And on that one, that's the main reason of this conversation, because climate crisis has a unique and a life-threatening consequences on African, but mostly urban poor. And we want to really to have this conversation where our colleagues could share some of the work being done, but also some of the solutions, but what are the challenges, so that all together we can make sure that we are empowered to have the engagement. And it's not really new, because this is the work being done at the local level, but we can always learn from each other. So we have a really wonderful panel which is going to help us. But before I introduce the panel, let me ask the technical team to bring in one of the video done by the Know Your City TV, KYC TV, Sierra Leone, which is going to showcase what I was just speaking about, what is the federation supported by the NGO in each country do when it comes to the local work. So when we speak affiliation, it's a federation members together with a supporting NGO, then they make an affiliation in each country. And let's watch the short video of Sierra Leone on the work being done in that specific country.
Music and night grandeur cause Caribus. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Onyanje, kele papa desu, miya desu, yeah. Because we bumpo, no me say we for typo. Because we no land book, no me say we for idol. Because we dead dung now, no me say we no go claim up. Na true say yes, we born at the slum, that no me sitting no go change up. Mama, papa, let we thank God for fair drop. If not be them, God, no, for don't effort. Me, I swear, for don't give up. If not be fair drop, me, I for don't fed up. Mama, papa, let we thank God for fair drop. If not be them, God, no, for don't give up. Me, I swear, for don't give up. If not be them, God, no, for don't fed up. Fair drop. Better things, better skills, we don't learn, we don't gain from fair drop. Oh, na, na. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, fair drop. Better things, better skills, we don't learn, we don't gain from favor. Yeah. Oh. Disability, not to inability. Fair drop, kaya so for eradicate poverty. True service, nobody no go be liability. Gender equality, for social security. They don't put plenty smile, now we begin the face. Empower woman, them in different ways. Our youths are hopeful, we just see them for face. Dim, therefore so, oh, nyanje. Because we bumpo, no me say we for typo. Because we no land book, no me say we for idol. Because we dead dung now, no me say we no go claim up. Na true say yes, we born at the slum, that no me sitting no go change up. Mama, papa, let we thank God for fair drop. If not be them, God, no, for don't effort. Me, I swear, for don't give up. If not be fair drop, me, I for don't fed up. Mama, papa, let we thank God for fair drop. If not be them, God, no, for don't give up. Me, I swear, for don't give up. If not be them, God, no, for don't fed up. Favor. Better things, better skills, we don't learn, we don't gain from favor. Oh, na, na. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, favor. Better things, better skills, we don't learn, we don't gain from favor. Yeah. Kele baba desu, miya desu, yeah. Fair drop desu, cause them desu, yeah. Mama, sell people them desu, yeah. We'll bat self desu, and desu, yeah.
I'm happy that, so that is just some of the activities being done in the countries where STI has affiliate. And let me quickly introduce our panel discussion, and then I will just speak a little on the reason about this session, and then we delve quickly into the session. After this, we're going to have Richard Bokari, who's from Sierra Leone, from the Center of Dialogue on Human Settlement and Poverty Alleviation. And then we'll be joined by Kilion Nyambuga, who's from SDI Kenya. And then later on, I will bring in Dr. Paul Murindwa, who is from Civicas. I'm sure Civicas does not need any introduction. It's an organization that has been around, but I will speak more about it when we bring him in. Just a very brief why we thought this could be interesting, because we think that always, as much as the work is being done, it's always good to share, to know what others are doing. So the quick objective of this session, we want to participants to really be capacitated on more to engage with local authorities about climate change, about infrastructure, but also other work being done in our communities. And we expect that participants will have practical skills and knowledge in advocacy strategy, community organizing, and also some of the engagement. And we are aware this 55 minutes is very short, and this is just a kind of a short one. But if there is a need, we may really bring in colleagues to expand more so that we can even have more questions asked. Let me bring Richard. Please, if you can come in and share what the work you are doing, especially in Sierra Leone, and also if you could share a little bit about some instances where you had to engage on climate change, what was the challenges, but also what has been the result. I'll give you just 4 minutes for introduction.
Thank you, Joseph. I'm Richard Bokari, and I'm the Program and Technical Manager for Kodosapa, which is the SDI affiliate in Sierra Leone. With regards to what we have been doing, our work has been around really putting frontline communities in the front, in the fight against climate change, because we believe those that are actually faced with the blunt reality of climate change should also be part of the solution. We're like an SDI affiliate, and the objective that SDI work with, putting communities at the forefront, that is actually what we've been doing. Now, we've been doing a lot of engagement around locally led adaptation interventions, ecosystem restoration, which is one of the core components. Freetown is actually blessed with 2 landscapes. So we have the coastal landscape and then the hillside or mountaintop. And so because of our landscape, we are exposed to lots of natural disasters like flooding, mudslide, rockfall, and sea level rise, and a lot of other things. So as part of our intervention, we are actually doing restoration, planting of trees and mangroves to ensure that communities are actually safe from sea level rise, but as well as also protecting them against extreme heat waves, and making them more adaptive to the climatic shock. And aside the restoration that we are doing, we also realize that livelihood component is also core in the fight against climate change, because most of the disaster or drivers of climate change are also caused by livelihood activities. So we have actually introduced green and blue economy livelihood through what we call urban agriculture and backyard gardening. That is one, encouraging families to grow what they eat, but as well as also what we call oyster farming or aquaculture, training them on how to actually harvest oysters, how to ensure they get more oyster products, and linking them to market opportunities and ensuring that they have like sustainable source of income. And the final thing that we are actually doing also on the policy side, we are actually engaging with the city authorities, but as well as the central government to ensure that community voice are represented at every level in the planning of climate change. Because most times, decisions that are taken from the high level are not reflective of community views and opinion, and in some cases does not even address the issues. So we are actually engaging with authorities and city stakeholders to ensure that communities also have a seat in the table when they are planning climate financing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. And really, I like the way you share what you do, but also the restoration livelihood element, because in most of cases where conflict comes, it's where some states or government or local official want to move urban poor, and they don't even provide another alternative. But if really we can provide a way they can also have some livelihood linked with climate change, I think we can be more successful. Do you want to take a minute to expand more on that engagement with local authorities? What advocacy strategies have been used, which maybe have been working, or maybe what are the challenges you faced in your work? But also you may share even solutions which worked.
Thank you. When we started back in 2008, most times the government, all what they think about is eviction, removing these people from disaster-prone areas. And so we started our advocacy through gathering of information, ensuring that we have accurate data on every informal settlement in Freetown and in some parts of the provinces. And now those informations we are actually used as leverage to bring the government institutions to the table. And then we started our engagement. One thing that we realized, when communities are actually mobilized and they have one voice, it's easier to engage government. So what we did was establish what we call a community learning platform. The community learning platform are spaces where community people meet and discuss issues affecting them. And in those spaces, they also kind of come up with solutions or identify development partners that they can approach, to ensure that they are able to address those issues. So, and after the community platform, what we also do, we organize what we call the city level platforms, where we bring in different people from the community learning platform to come to the city and present the issue at citywide. Now, in that discussion, we also ensure we bring in the relevant authorities. For example, if we are talking about climate change, we ensure that the Minister of Climate Change is there, and all the departments and agencies that are responsible for climate change are part of the discussion. So we bring them to that city forum, and we allow the communities to share their problem. And together, they sit together and find solutions. So like currently, we are doing a program that is actually geared towards slum upgrading in 5 informal settlements in Freetown. This program is rolled together with the central and local government, ensuring that people that are living in informal settlements, instead of evicting them, but they make the community more safer and resilient, so they can be more habitable for them. Because we have a slogan that we say, remove the slum from the people and not the people from the slum. In other words, everything that makes you call those locations slum communities should be addressed, rather than taking the people out of the slums.
Wow, that slogan, you remove people from?
Remove people from the slum and not the slum. Remove the slum from the people and not the people from the slum. In other words, removing all the characteristics that define a location as a slum, rather than taking the resident out of those places. So we are pushing more for upgrading than relocation or eviction.
Thank you so much, Richard, for sharing that. And we may bring you back later on. Killian, when Richard shared about slum, Kenya, you are known about many things, but one of those is bigger slums and the work being done by SDI. Recently, our colleague, whom you know, Jacobs, was doing his exchange program with the Secretariat, shared a short video of where in one of the slum, the government came without announcing, and they removed, I think, more than 1,000. And some of us, we really cried. You can imagine a place you have been living in for 20 years. You have built your life there, your kids, your children, and coming in without announcing, and they destroy everything. It was a disaster. So, and it gave me really what type of the work we are exposed to. Killian, could you share how do you deal with those? What type of the work you are doing, and also what type of strategies do you use to work with government, but also other partners, even private sector?
Yes, thank you very much, Joseph. I'm Kilion Nyambuga. I'm a program manager at SDI Kenya for city and settlement planning. And I think it is great that you brought out that background. I think a lot has happened since 2020 when with regards to informal settlements. SDI Kenya is supporting a federation of slum dwellers called Muungano wa Vijiji that's currently operating in 14 cities and municipalities within the country. And our biggest areas of operation are the four cities of Nairobi, Nakuru, Kisumu, and Mombasa. And you find those are the places where there are a lot of informal settlements with very high densities, facing different challenges, the characteristics that Richard had mentioned that needs to be taken out of those places. And I think with that in mind, those kind of limitations or challenges that these communities are facing, including now the climate change impact, like we witnessed the flooding during the rainy season of April and May, has been used a lot by the government to kind of declare these areas as hotspots for different reasons. And I think the fact that the declaration as hotspots is an intention to actually clear slums. And I think our government from the previous government, the manifesto and the intention has been to clear slums. And the federation has been at the spearhead in terms of demonstrating alternative solutions that can be implemented effectively. And I think Richard had mentioned about taking the slum out of the people, not the people out of the slums. And this implies that one of the challenges that makes it hard for slum dwellers to even access in terms of the decent housing are issues that are related to the levels of income of the people who are living there. And well, from the research that we conducted previously indicated how the slum dwellers are actually paying more for very poor quality services, what we call the poverty penalty. For instance, the slum dwellers pay in terms of to access services like water, in terms of the number of jerry cans that they're using. And each jerry can of a 20-liter jerry can is paid at, let's say, 10 shillings or 20 shillings. So it means 1 unit of that water will amount to around 1,000 shillings. But then in the formal areas, 1 unit of water is being charged at around 190 shillings to 180 shillings for people who are well off, people who are connected to the city water network. And these are challenges that I feel the city has the capability of dealing with. We had one of the practical example is that of Mukuru special planning area, where we were able to mobilize communities to have campaigns. They advocated through different campaigns. One of them was on sanitation. Sanitation was a big issue that was being used in terms of pushing the government to address the issues, the challenges that were facing the residents of Mukuru. And we were able to mobilize close to 46 organizations. These were the government institutions. We had the civil society organizations like us. We had the academia, we had the private sector. And the intention was to work with the residents of Mukuru to develop a plan and the plan that would inform how the settlements would transform in the next, let's say, 5 years, 10 years, or challenges that were highlighted by communities. Part of that was the issue of infrastructure that was in terms of the road infrastructure and the function of that infrastructure in terms of bringing in services like sewer, like water to the community. We had communities that were also experiencing a lot of flooding. So looking at how also those infrastructure can also address the climate-related impact on community, but also focusing on also access to social amenities like health services and also education. We are witnessing that communities are actually subjected and to very poor quality services that they're facing. And so that's the SPA, Mukuru SPA was a practical example that was used that has successfully demonstrated how people, different organizations can collaborate together and work with the government to address community issues. And luckily enough, the implementation of the plan had taken off in the during the COVID period and has brought significant transformation in the slum itself, where communities are able to access water, community are able to part of the community are able to have access to sewer connection, and we have different other services like health has already improved in the settlement, and things to do with access to quality education and feeding program are things that are being addressed in those communities.
Thank you so much, Killian, and I'm really happy that you end up your first intervention with a positive note that at least something is coming out from your intervention, from your advocacy, and happy to hear that things are working. How easy has it been to form that partnership?
Yes, I think it's from the saying that when you want to walk fast, you walk alone. When you want to walk to reach far, then you have to work with others. It takes time to bring organizations together. I think one of the things is that they must see the value in terms of their contribution in that particular initiative. But also you must also interest them. Interestingly, part of the organizations that we were able to bring together at the beginning of these conversations were organizations that were already intervening in different settlements. And part of our solution, part of the conversation at that particular time was that we've tried to demonstrate a lot of solutions in the settlement. We have organizations that come and identify, either conduct a research in a particular settlement or a village in a city, and they identify a problem. Let's say it's water, and they actually support the community in terms of establishing either water points that responds to the community needs for a specific period of time. But then the sustainability nature of that, and also the fact that that doesn't actually address the needs of community at scale. So we argued that why don't we come together and work on a plan? This plan would look at the needs of the settlements at a different scale. And Mukuru presented a huge scale because the settlement in terms of the area coverage is 689 acres piece of land. And in terms of population, over 400,000 people that we are looking at in terms of, if you look at that in terms of the delineation of municipalities, cities, that's a city on its own, per 250 individuals is a city on its own. So we convinced them that we needed to come together to address the issues through plan, identifying what actions community needs to prioritize and where they need to be situated. And it took time to kind of interest them, to bring them together. I think there were instances where the other issue was that of resources. So some of these never had resource allocation to participate in the planning process. And remember when I started by mentioning that some of them were already intervening in terms of different actions. So telling them that you need to prioritize planning, which is a software, not a hardware project, then now focus on the intervention later, was something also that we also had to kind of deal with. But we were largely successful, and we were able to bring together all those different organizations. Mobilizing a few organizations ended up also those organizations mobilizing additional organizations that would help in terms of the financial needs, the technical support that also went into the work. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And it's really, there are some keywords which are coming from the experience of Sierra Leone and Kenya, which I got the accurate data, prioritizing, planning, and the create collaboration partnership. And our next speaker, I think he will be more also elaborating on that. But before that, let me really share with you that when we were planning to start this, we got news that our third speaker or panelist was not going to join us. That is Nolwando Mayongo, who is a member of the Federation of the Urban Poor South Africa, fed up. She just received a sad news that someone in the family passed on, and we really sending our condolences. And it was not our intention to have a non-only male panel discussion, especially that we are even proud ourselves that we are a female-led network. So we apologize for that. And it was just something we couldn't do anything about it. Dr. Paul, I know I'm not going to be fair with you, because with all your knowledge to give you the little minute we are left with, it's not fair. But I'm going to ask that you share just some key highlight. You've had the challenges our affiliates go through. You've had some of the really stumbling blocks, but also the stance of some of the government which are brutal, but also we got some news that somehow engagement do work. What could you give us some strategies from an expert? How can we strengthen our advocacy and our engagement? Dr. Paul is the advocacy and campaign officer from LEAD at Civicus, and he's a governance and development practitioner. He has his PhD in politics and international relations, which really I felt that he was very good for this conversation, and he has been doing work on human rights, sustainable development goals. Now we are also bringing you into climate change, but also how can we build more engaging attitude between slum dwellers and the local authorities. Over to you, Dr. Paul. You have 12 minutes, and then we see how it goes.
Thank you very much, my brother, Joseph. Yes, actually, I'm coordinating climate change and environmental justice for Civicus, bringing all global regions, global actors into those initiatives that feed into COP, or the COPs that we hold, and then biodiversity COPs. Yes, so I'm at home.
Sorry, Dr. Paul, just a second, just to remind our francophone audience, pour notre audience qui parle le français, il y a un moyen de suivre en français. Si vous pouvez indiquer que vous êtes satisfait, il y a moyen d'écouter la discussion en français. Thank you, and so sorry about that. I was just informing them that there is an option just to listen in French because there's an interpreter.
Merci beaucoup, mon frère. Yes, in terms of the work we are doing as Civicus, just a snippet, we support citizens, we support actors, we support civil society organizations, groups and initiatives to raise their voices into another level of advocacy, into another level of policy and decision making. So I coordinate all African initiatives, but with the climate change and the environmental justice, I go beyond Africa and bring all, especially the global South, into the discussion. Yes, there is enormous challenge in terms of advocacy strides around the issues of SDGs, especially the socio-economic rights. And I'm happy to hear that our colleagues, Richard in Sierra Leone, Kirion in Nairobi, Kenya, you are really trying to push ahead. Yeah, and I'm happy to hear some of the strategies you are using are actually the good strategies or the best practices that any advocacy person out there could focus on. I won't dwell much on them, just highlight that for any advocacy to take root, to take effect, first of all is understanding the situation, understanding the context. What is the problem you are trying to fight? If you are looking at the slum lifestyle, slum livelihood is so wide, is so broad. You can't go out there and you say, I'm going to advocate, to do advocacy or to advocate for rights in the slum. Exactly what are you looking at? It's good, for instance, like the Richard said, you start with gathering information. You start with empowering the people to know what exactly is the challenge, is the problem. The moment you gather information, then you understand. What we've seen in most cases is to rush into the advocacy because the government is coming up with the policies, is coming to evict people, then we begin advocacy. But we don't know exactly what is our advocacy tagline. Is it housing? Is it, sometimes we say social service delivery. What exactly is social service delivery? If I ask or if I tell it to my grandmother, the government is not giving us social service. What exactly am I talking about? Can I go down and articulate the issues? The government is not giving us water. And according to our constitution, water A, B, C, D is supposed to be given. The government is not taking our waste, refuse and things like that. It is supposed to be doing that. We don't have housing, so that by research, by documenting the issues, now you prioritize. In a slum like Kibera, you will find some parts of the slum, some people are happy because of maybe the nature of the houses they have. Some people are completely, in a different world, but they are all in the same slum. Then some places you will find there is water running, others are using the drainage water. So what is it that we are going to push as the actors in terms of advocacy? Research, information gathering will inform us. And numbers, whenever we are talking of information gathering, it's not about going and do essay paragraphs. In advocacy these days, there is what we call humanizing the story. How many people, I was happy when Joseph said they shared with them a group, a video, and a group of about 1,000, you get it. The moment you say this number of people, these families have been affected, the children, the women, the youth, the schools, you humanize the issues. Someone can really see that, oh, there is something here. But the moment we come up with, an essay, paragraph after paragraph, it becomes the so-called academic, findings. Okay, so that is another point. In terms of mobilization, it's good to mobilize. It's good to look at the key actors who are involved, who is going to push for us. For instance, for us at Civicus, if I can give the best practice, in most of the advocacy work we do, in most of the gains we do, you will not see the name of Civicus in the advocacy up front there. We mobilize the communities, we mobilize the affected people, they do the advocacy by themselves. How do we do this? By empowering them. Because we believe in sustainability, we believe in the powers speaking to themselves. So the moment we bring on board the communities, the moment we bring on board the people who are affected, we are empowering them. I always tell communities, if an NGO comes and says, we want to do advocacy for you, give us this information, and they run away, don't entertain that organization. Somewhere else I have argued, you can't develop us without us. So we have to involve, we have to mobilize the affected communities. Secondly, I like the idea of Richard by involving the relevant ministries and departments. This is, I think, a progressive, in my opinion, a progressive advocacy approach. Most organizations still go into the pragmatic way of, how do you call it? Like opposing the government. They, us. You don't want to involve the government, you don't want to involve the local governance and even national governance, but you are out there doing your research, busting into criticisms and things like that. Instead of bringing the governments closer to you, plan with them, understand their context, understand their challenges, understand their plans, and fit in your plans. As we all now focus towards the COP, different governments are given different slots, have different opportunities. For instance, how best are we as SDI-led hub and initiative connected to at least one of the governments that we can rely on as our ally when, for instance, they go into the issues of loss and damage discussion, we know our point can arrive. While we're in Egypt at 27, in Dubai last year at 28, we tried to use some of the government's ministries. In Africa, for instance, we're relying on Kenya when we're in Egypt. But last year things changed. So with the new government, things turned around. And a government of Liberia. So they are a little bit open, they are progressive towards the issue of climate change. So that to the extent that, because civil society organizations were not allowed at the round tables, these strong tables of loss and damage, as Joseph was saying that this climate financing is not arriving to us. So we mobilize the allies, as we mobilize the communities, as we engage with the affected people, the policy makers. And that brings me to the issue of power. Do we know where the power lies within our advocacy? We have the problem in between, below, or you can put it anywhere. On the sides, we have the change, but above, we have powers. There is what we call power within. Power with us as communities, as affected people. How are we collectively engaged? How are we collectively empowered? There is power with. Whom do we work with? Can we as slum dwellers really push ourselves out of this? Or we need SDI, we need the Civicus, we need the Richard Bokari's organization of this world to help us. Then there is power too. But in all this, are we as individuals able to act? Even if SDI comes and empowers us, Are we willing? Do we believe in that power? The moment we believe in that power, the moment we believe in that togetherness and push our ideas, the issue of networking already will have happened. The issue of mobilization will take effective, as well as now the research that is informing and bringing the issues together will be effective. I think my 12 minutes are stopping here. Joseph, given an opportunity, I can come back with another one or two approaches. Thank you.
Let me give you 3 minutes. Then we
Oh.
will check if there is a question. Please, the technical team, if you can also let me know if there are questions coming up.
Yeah, thanks very much. And one thing I was also touched, that touched me is the key on the planning and the monitoring that you keep doing. In most cases, it is either because of resources or expertise. And when we talk of resources, we mean time, money, then skills. Do we have people that can do advocacy? Sometimes you find the slum dwellers have the power, have the energy, they can act, but they cannot go beyond their communities. So how do we leverage on those organizations that can reach the local government? In different governments, we have different governance structures, can reach the national government. For instance, now, if it is in East Africa, can we have, because SDI now you are global, can we have a regional network so that when East African communities, when the the ECOWAS socio-economic meetings are happening, we have a slot there. Next week, we have African Commission on Human and People's Rights beginning. Do we have a statement, for instance, that we can push as slum dwellers, as the issues of socio-economic rights in different different countries and different communities? These are regional, sub-regional mechanisms that we can use to push for the agenda. Remember, at COP, it is up there. Even if the policy comes at COP, now we need structures below to support it. If those structures are not built, in most cases, that's why we will always hear, oh, while we're in Glasgow, there was this discussion. While we were in Germany, there was this discussion. In Egypt, the same rhetoric. And those countries that have had the structures, some of southern, global south countries have not had those structures, but some of those countries are tapping on those infrastructures, are tapping on those approaches. So we need to begin building from down as we go up, so that we don't succeed up there, but downwards, people are still affected. And that's what, as Civicus, the structure we are using now. You go to UN, you will find our noise there. You will find the noise of our members and partners there. Every Human Rights Council, there is a side event, at least on some issues. So Joseph and colleague, as the Human Rights, Economic, Social, Cultural Rights Commission is taking their usual meetings and summits, can we submit in a statement? As we have this general comments meeting, the special rapporteur, can we work with the special rapporteur to make sure that these special rapporteurs also, how do you think it will impact if a special rapporteur on health, climate and environmental life came to Keiricha, meet with these people, came to Kibera, met with these people, or any other slum, and compiles a report, takes it to the Human Rights Council, takes it to the committee on any issue. So this will be the impactful advocacy. And from my experience, special rapporteurs are always ready, are always on spot. whenever they are tapped on, whenever they are encouraged, whenever they are invited. That is at the UN. We also have a special rapporteur in the African context. Should you need more clarification, Joseph and colleagues on that, Civicus is always ready and a platform to engage and provide opportunities and open windows to where we are already in those houses where we are, for our members, for our partners, as long as we are in this together for a better global, a better world to live in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. I wish we had more minutes to delve into this, but really, I'm so happy for the key strategy you offered us. And actually, when you were coming up with them, I saw somewhere we are really doing well at SDI, but also somewhere we can improve. And thank you so much for really the last, even a clear guidance on how we can move forward. And we will contact you on that. And I'm happy with the really special report here. They work. They work, and also we can also bring issues affecting our members on some of the SDG processes, such as a voluntary national review, where we make sure each country presenting is bringing what are the issues, but also what are the solutions. And I wish we have more time, but unfortunately we don't. We'll be closing in 2 to 3 minutes. I will give to my other panelists 1 minute to close, Richard and the Kiron. That 1 minute, it used to be a Twitter minute before it comes to just 154 letters. A concluding remark, Richard.
So thank you, Joseph. I'll conclude with a statement. What is for us, without us, is not for us. In other words, if we are discussing climate issues that is affecting frontline communities, they should have a seat at the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Kilion?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I think my closing remark will be an emphasis on public participation, and I think more related to what Richard has mentioned. I think communities have voices, they have the capability, they have demonstrated that by intervening in terms of small scale projects that can be scaled up. They are very innovative, and they can contribute to transformation in their settlement. I think that participation needs to be put at the center of any engagement. And I think that is what we are currently emphasizing to our partners, to our government, that communities are not left behind in any discussion that involves them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Paul. You just shared the toolkit for the sub-Saharan Africa on advocacy. And I will ask the colleagues if there's a way we can share with participants. If not, we share with the Resilience Hub so that it can be, okay, they said it can be shared. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for our audience. Thank you so much for the panelists. Please follow SDI on all the social media. We do have KYC TV. Just type in KYC TV. We are on Twitter. We are on all social media so that we can keep on following. And also, we will post the link to our panelist organization so that you can follow their work. Once again, we really thank you. I know that this was very short, but I feel like it's someone who's coming from the church inspired, that the work is there to do. And then there's also a hope, a positive hope that we, all of us, if we work together, if we put our effort together, the slum dwellers' lives can be changed. Once again, thank you. And we keep the conversation till to COP29. Have a good and blessed day. Bye.